Sean Callahan, Nate Klaus for Huskeronline.com. We're here at the Adidas Satellite Camp Tour. Nate, it's the third year of the tour. We've been on it all 3 years, and we're back down here in Macon at Mercer, where this is really, they had one at Georgia Tech on Monday, Mercer today. They'll be in the South Florida area Thursday, the Tampa area Saturday. This really is one of the busier weeks of camps you're going to see around the country.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere across the country, you've got your first round of satellite camps, and it's competitive. I mean, there's so many camps now that kids, have to make a choice of where they're going to go, where they're going to spend their money at. But, based off what we've seen, I think for the last 3 years, these camps that Adidas puts on are as good as any in the country.
And Nate, Nebraska's obviously been all around the country. You guys were in St. Louis on Friday and Lindenwood for the mega camp. We're here today. Just some thoughts on some of the things that jumped out to you today here in Mercer at the camp here at Mercer.
Well, yeah, a lot like Lindenwood. I think there was a good combination of guys that they already knew about or had already offered, plus some guys that they wanted to get an extra eye on, and maybe even some guys that kind of emerged that they didn't really know a whole lot about. I know one kid in particular they offered today because he was unable to go through spring football when they were out on the road during the evaluation period. So I think that today was very productive in that regard, being able to see some kids that they've already offered, kind of reconnect with some of those guys, and then further evaluate some guys that they ended up pulling the trigger on.
And Nebraska had 4 coaches here, Tony Tuioti, defensive coordinator Eric Chenander, secondary coach Travis Fisher, and tight ends coach Sean Beckton. And really all of these guys recruit this area. And Javon DeWitt would be here normally, still kind of recovering from his medical thing that he went through over the course of the spring.
Yeah, he's still kind of recovering, but these guys have it covered, and especially Sean Beckton. When you're talking Georgia, I mean, he seems to have a very good pulse on the state of Georgia. He's been around recruiting this state for an awful long time, and you could just kind of see the respect that he has. A lot of high school coaches going up to him, talking with him, kind of going out of their way to reconnect with Sean Beckton, and he's been in the area for a long time. He knows all these kids and coaches.
And Nate, besides the guys that camped, there were a couple guys here that had Nebraska offers that just kind of popped in and were able to have some short interactions with the coaches. Defensive end Jamari Stewart, and then Deshaun Alleyway, a 2021. So Nebraska not only got to see some guys on the field, there were a few guys off the field as well.
Yeah, there's guys that they've offered already. They've been able to see, and both those guys are interested in Nebraska. And they were here as part of the Treasure Coast Elite 7-on-7 kind of their camp tour, college tour deal that they're doing. And I know they were heading to Auburn after this camp, but and you're right, they didn't work out, but they were able to see Nebraska. Nebraska was able to see them, and there's not a whole lot of contact that can happen if you're not camping, but trust me, the two kind of, there was a lot of head nods going on, you could say that. So I think that was productive in that regard.
And Nate, arguably one of the top guys here was a 2021 Chief Border.
Yeah, Chief Borders from McEachern High School. As a kid, he's got probably 15 plus offers right now. Super looking athlete. He's a linebacker, but he could play wide receiver, tight end. I mean, he's just a big, tall, long athlete that can run. And it's easy to see why he has the offers that he does. And this is another kid that Nebraska knew about, but they wanted to get eyes on him one more time. And even though he has 10, 15 offers to his name, he decided to come out and compete, and it paid off. He picked up an offer from the Huskers today. Talked with Eric Chenander, and they went ahead and threw their hat in the ring, and he's definitely interested. He was talking about maybe taking a visit up there at some point in time. So again, that was another kid that was on the radar today that went ahead and is now an official target of Nebraska's.
And then the younger brother of Nebraska defensive back Cam Taylor was in the camp.
Yeah, Jaden out of Park Crossings in Alabama, also working out here. He was down here with his dad, and Nebraska knows an awful lot about him. Obviously, they learned about him when they were recruiting Cam Taylor, and he's going to be making his way up for Friday Night Lights too. So that's another kid Nebraska's keeping a close eye on.
Well, we'll have plenty of more from the road as the next stop of the Adidas Satellite Tour will be in South Florida with Florida Atlantic in the morning on Thursday, and then Florida International will have theirs in the evening. Signing off, though, here from Macon, Georgia at Mercer, I'm Sean Callahan with videographer Greg Peterson and Nate Klaus.